First Nations TV, your news first.
Charles Darwin University staff, Larrakia Nation custodians and a number of First Nations organisations came together at the Charles Darwin University campus to welcome new Pro-Vice Chancellor of Indigenous Leadership and Regional Outreach, Professor Bolt, to his new position with a welcome to country and smoking ceremony.
Yes, I've recently taken up the Pro-Vice Chancellor of Indigenous Leadership and Regional Outreach position here at CDU. I've been in the role for about 7 months now.
Before joining CDU, Professor Bolt was the Director of the Nuragili Indigenous Programs Unit at the University of New South Wales, where he led the Nuragili management team. While at CDU, Professor Bolt will also play a key role in the executive management of CDU, including the provision of advice and counsel to the executive leadership group on Indigenous issues.
The work that we do here is predominantly to provide support to Indigenous students that are enrolled in higher education degrees, also in vet qualifications. The key thing for me is that we have such a low base, so Indigenous students from all across the country generally have a lower ATAR than non-Indigenous. So that's really part of the challenge, I think, that we're wanting students to come from school into university, but if they don't have the ATAR score, it means they're going to find it much more difficult to kind of get into their degree, or if they get in, then they've got to get through that first year. I think that's where the challenge is. Now, if we can get more students into university and then into honours and then PhDs, we're starting to build grow our own. Because we just don't have the critical mass of Indigenous people that, are in the disciplines. If we've got a place like CDU, we've got several research intensive institutes. They've got Indigenous people that are employed. If we can start to get some critical mass and get more heads around the table and to be able to push those publications out, I think that's where we can make a difference. But the first step is getting from high school into university, or in CDU's in CDU's context, it's getting them even from community into vet qualifications and then into higher ed.
Professor Bolt brings more than 20 years' experience within the higher education sector in Australia, spanning teaching, research and leadership on Indigenous issues.
First Nations TV, your news first.